Join Cris&Cale for the top 5 haunted places in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And so this
is the path to the tunnel.
I hope that was the floor speaking. Oh my gosh. Stick with here, get your beer on the main floor, and you'll be safe. He said no, don't go up here. Holy cow. So this is the place where they set up all their paranormal sort of devices and stuff.
What's up with that door?
It's not spooky or anything in here. All right, that's enough time up here for me.
Welcome to Savannah. This mesmerizing Georgia town is known for its period architecture, elegant restaurants, Spanish moss-covered oaks, and southern charm. There's more at hand here. USA Today, CNN Travel, CNBC, and the Travel Channel all agree Savannah may be America's most haunted city. The city may look like a sweet southern belle, but she keeps a dark secret. The city was built literally on its dead. Homes and buildings sit atop Native American burial grounds, and roads cover forgotten cemeteries of slaves and colonists. One reason for this is simple. Death came frequently and in large numbers. There were bloody battles in the Revolutionary War and again in the Civil War. There were 2 devastating fires in 1796 and 1820 that each left half of Savannah in ashes. There were not 1 but 2 devastating outbreaks of yellow fever in 1820 and again in 1854. On top of this, there were unfathomable, savage slave burial practices. These all contributed on why people believe Savannah is cursed and plays host to so many historic homes, inns, and restaurants with unsettled spirits. Here we mention several noteworthy paranormal hotbeds and conclude with our list of the top 5 haunted places in Savannah. 432 Abercorn. A mysterious home simply known by its address has conjured deadly rumors about the original owner, Benjamin Wilson.
Benjamin Wilson was said to have gotten irritated with his daughter for intermingling and playing with those that were beneath his family status, and ended up tying her in her bedroom in the sweltering Savannah heat, and she ended up dying. He was so distraught over this, he ended up killing himself.
While the validity of this story may be in question, the truth is more unnerving. 432 Abercorn was built on slave burial grounds. In fact, the nearby former Calhoun Square is an unmarked slave grave site. Out of respect, a renaming of the square is currently underway. Wright Square has a particularly dark past. Known as the Hanging Square, it was the location of many death sentences, including Savannah's first convicted murderer, Alice Riley.
They decided to hang the female that committed that murder. And she actually was pregnant and gave birth just days before she was hanged.
To this day, the spirit of Alice Riley wanders Wright Square in search of a newborn to cuddle as her own.
The number of spirits that linger through this area, they say the Spanish moss does not grow on the areas where such spirits linger.
Thus, Wright Square is one of those few areas within Savannah where you see very little Spanish moss. Mercer Williams' house is one of the more famous homes in the area, but it has its share of dark stories.
In 1969, supposedly there was a boy named Tommy who was looking for birds and stuff up on top of this building.
Tommy fell and he was impaled on one of the prongs on the fence below.
And in an effort to try to remove him, they actually removed part of the fence. Well, let's see if this is it. Jim Williams had purchased it that same year that this boy had died. And he was one who shot Danny Hansford. That became the premise for the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
After 8 years of trials, Jim Williams was eventually acquitted, but the ghost of Danny Hansford haunted the man and was possibly responsible for his death. Just months after his acquittal, Williams officially died of pneumonia, but his lifeless body was found in the very location where Danny was shot. The old Colonial Park Cemetery was established in the 1750s, and an estimated 12,000 people are buried here. Today, there are only 700 gravestones. In the day, Civil War Union soldiers dug up graves to sleep in on cold nights, and altered headstones information for fun. Many graves were paved over to build what is now Abercorn Street. With all this unrest, it is no wonder guests have claimed they've seen shadowy figures floating around without direction. Bonaventure Cemetery is hauntingly beautiful as it sits on a former plantation and is located along the picturesque Wilmington River. The cemetery is referenced multiple times in the book Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, and the cover Bird Girl statue was originally here. Likenesses of those buried here, including small children, are said to linger around their resting place. One reason it has been listed among the most haunted places in America. Number 5. The Pirate's House has a deep and rich history that dates back to the origin of Savannah. Herb House, a garden home within the Pirate's House, was built in 1734 adjacent to a botanist area known as the Trustees' Garden. In 1753, an inn and saloon for seafarers was added and still stands today as one of Savannah's best-known restaurants. The Pirate's House, however, cannot escape its dark past.
Stories are that people would come here, they would indulge in the beverages that they had here, and they would get shanghaied. There was actually somewhere around here, there's an underground tunnel that would take them to the ships, and they'd get so inebriated, they'd wake up and they'd find themselves on a ship, stuck to be laborers on there until the ship comes back to port. That's what they call being shanghaied.
Though it has since been covered over, the tunnel was indeed used as a portal to carry the men through. As a result of these distasteful acts, it is believed that several ghosts haunt the Savannah icon, including various sailors who appear to be floating from table to table. Employees have reported hearing moaning sounds originating from the tunnels and have heard the sounds of boots walking across wooden floor planks, even when they're the only ones in the building.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And so this
Is the path to the tunnel. Number 4. Factor's Walk includes the bridges and buildings that run between Bay Street and River Street, and were once home to the original cotton exchange where the price of cotton was set. These brick 2- and 3-story buildings contain offices and warehouses that were connected by iron and concrete walkways, much as they are today. Cotton pricing wasn't the only thing being debated back then. It was here that slaves were auctioned off and sold in mass numbers. Today, thousands of people visit Factor's Walk to frequent the pubs, restaurants, antique stores, and specialty shops that are now housed inside the buildings. There's another aspect to this charming historic area. There are accounts of murder, incidental deaths, and slavery that are a very real part of the Factor's Walk. Many who have visited have seen the shadows of slaves that were brought into the city by boat, and others have heard the tormented moans coming from the tunnels, secret passageways, and catacombs that still exist. Still others say that they feel as if someone with cold hands touched them. If you explore the area, you'll see eerie vaults, the old Cotton Exchange building, stairs of questionable safety, and even one called the Stone Stairs of Death. And if you're into the weird and unusual, check out Gray Face Museum on East Factor's Wall. It has one of the most unusual collections of artifacts in the Southeast. The museum has deformed animals, freaky oddities, and an entire room dedicated to serial killer memorabilia. Number 3. The Old Pink House. The original owner of the Old Pink House, James Habersham Jr., was a wealthy cotton planter that aided the colonies in the fight for their independence. Construction began in 1771 and was completed in 1789. But just 10 years later, Mr. Habersham died under suspicious circumstances. Official records indicate that he died of natural illness, but some say that he hung himself in the basement where a pub, Planter's Tavern, is now located. Regardless, James Habersham is being credited with the reason the Old Pink House has been dubbed by Yelp as the most haunted spot in America. The fine dining experience at the Old Pink House is not in contradiction to the spiritual encounters many claim to experience in the building. It has been reported that Mr. Habersham appears in the downstairs tavern wearing his prim and proper uniform to raise his glass to fellow patrons. He then fades away as you're watching. Known to be a pin-neat gentleman, he is often accused of straightening tables and putting chairs in their place. Apparently, Habersham also loves the idea of having lit candles on the tables. A waiter once recalled, turning his back for a moment, that suddenly all of the candles on every table had been lit. The most concerning tale stems from the ladies' room downstairs. So many women reported being locked inside the bathroom stall that the owners finally removed the door's lock. Even with the lock removed, many women still struggle with opening the door.
They're in the middle. Your feet does big throws.
Number 2. The Marshall House. Originally constructed in 1851, the Marshall House was among Savannah's first large-scale hotels. It operated as such until the Union Army occupied it during the Civil War, using it as a hospital. Since then, it was twice more temporarily used as a hospital for the 19th century yellow fever epidemics. The hotel closed for renovations in 1895 when workers found human remains. It was deemed a crime scene until they realized that the area was used as a surgical room during the war. It was speculated that the ground was frozen and doctors were forced to bury amputated arms and legs under the floorboards. When it finally reopened its doors in 1899, it boasted electrical lights as well as hot and cold plumbing on every floor, a rarity for the time. Even with all of the amenities, the Marshall House closed in 1957 due to a struggling economy. The ground floor was used by various businesses until 1998. A year later, under new ownership, the building was opened as the oldest operating hotel in Savannah. It is a spectacular place to stay, as we can attest, but the past has taken its toll. The Marshall House has been featured on the Travel Channel's Haunted Hotels and is ranked as one of the country's most haunted hotels by USA Today. Guests have reported their fair share of paranormal experiences, such as seeing ghosts in the hallways, hearing non-existent children running down the halls, and faucets turning on by themselves. Much of the war-era hospital work was done on the 4th floor, in hopes passers-by would not hear the screams of soldiers as body parts were amputated. For that reason, the 4th floor is considered the most haunted.
So, as you said, they said that the 4th floor is really where the activity is. And a lot of times they hear children playing here when there's no children to be found. Union soldiers, because this is used as a hospital 3 times.
Now folks tell stories of Union soldier ghosts walking in uniform, carrying severed arms in search of a surgeon. Other poltergeist occurrences include the spirit of a woman who has been seen in the restroom where one of the stalls locks itself repeatedly. Guests of the hotel have seen the misty shapes of children and experienced the feeling that someone was tickling their feet while they were trying to sleep.
There's an ambulance down there. And there's somebody on a walkie-talkie. And now they're going to open up the back. Oh yeah, did he open up the back? I don't know what they're doing in there.
Number 1. Moon River Brewing Company. The Moon River Brewing Company is one of the older, still standing buildings in Savannah. It was constructed in 1821 and originally served as the city hotel and a popular, elegant gathering place. As such, however, it saw its share of violence, from drunken shootings to lynch mob beatings and even duels, a more gentlemanly way to settle disputes. Like the nearby Marshall House, it was also used as a hospital for those struck with yellow fever. Hundreds of men, women, and children died inside the rooms of these buildings. The Moon River Brewing Company purchased the building in the 1990s and began renovating it, and that's when most of the ghost stories started. It has been visited by TV shows, ghost hunters, and ghost adventurers.
So the story in this place is to stay on this floor, because there's not a whole lot of activity on this floor. See the stairs that leads up there. You find the woman in white will make her presence known up at the top. I think it's downstairs here where you'll find Toby. He'll come up and let you feel a note of his presence down there. Stick with here, get your beer here on the main floor, and you'll be safe. Oh, private event closed. Oh, can we go up there? We can't go up there?
The upper level had such bad vibes that it's still in near original condition. That's reportedly because construction crews refused to work there.
He said no. He said no, don't go up here. Oh my gosh, so you can't go in here. Oh my gosh. So this is the place where they set up all their paranormal sort of devices and stuff, and they look up here. And you spend time from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. trying to see what you see in here. There's no way?
No freaking way.
Oh my gosh. Holy cow.
What is up with that door?
It's not spooky or anything in here.
What is up
Wow.
with that closet?
I don't know. That's a little strange, isn't it? Look at that door. It's like, because if you're a ghost, you just hover.
Look, there's a window right there. What is that about? Look at this window.
I like how that's kind of moving and stuff.
Toby is the name given to a shadowy figure who likes to push customers around in the billiards room. There's a girl who appears at the bar to seemingly order a drink. Ghosts have also been known to drop bottles, breeze by patrons, and play tricks on staff members. And many guests have spotted the lady wearing white at the top of the restaurant staircase. Upstairs, this is where they host paranormal activity functions, and it's where we were able to wander on our own.
That's enough time up here for me. This is a little
Look at the
creepy.
way that wall's curved. What do you think that is? See that wall's curved? Oh, what is that about?
Be careful, watch your step.
No, I mean, what is that? What is that? Is that a window?